Welcome to Landlord Diaries, where we talk about midterm rentals and the opportunities behind them. We'll share landlord stories, talk about maximizing investment potential, and discuss how to live the very best landlord life. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Furnished Finder, the place for everything midterm rentals. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content.
Kelly Bailey here, your host with the Landlord Diaries. And for all of you watching, I got on my Furnished Finder swag today. How are you today, Katie?
I am good. We have an additional co-host here today. Everyone who is watching, this is Mocha. She is the latest Furnished Finder mascot here. So she's just here to say hi. But today we get to talk to Jimmie and Patricia, and they are a lovely couple who has been doing real estate investing for years. They do some interior design. They've got some great midterm rentals in a part of the country that is not super populated and not super, how do you say that there's not a whole lot of midterm rentals there, and they have turned it into something that is amazing. So they prove a lot of points to us where, you know, you can manage properties from all the way across the country without driving yourselves crazy. You can also have properties in less populated or popular cities and still be very successful. So it's great talking to them, and we hope you enjoy. And please remember that this episode and every episode is brought to you by Furnished Finder, where you can find and list all of your midterm rentals. And if you are a property owner, you can list your rental for $99, and we never charge any booking fees.
And that's the entire year.
Yep. Enjoy.
Today we travel to Mayberry for all you Andy Griffith Show fans. Jimmie and Patricia Spann have 5 midterm rentals in Mount Airy, North Carolina, which is Andy Griffith's childhood home and the inspiration for Mayberry. Jimmie and Patricia also have 3 homes in California and 1 apartment they rent as a midterm rental. Some of their additional income streams include a carpet cleaning business and interior design business. Well, hello, Jimmie and Patricia. Thanks for being here today. How are you guys?
Great. Hi, Kelly. Hi.
Good to be here.
Good to see you.
Yes. Well, we've had some fun already. Let's jump into our first question, which is, let's talk about your portfolio, and we're going to keep it in order. So your first investment purchase was in California following the 2009 crash. So tell us about this time in your life and the California homes you added to your portfolio then and since then.
Well, everything was selling for about a third what, you know, the paper was on it. The one we got in a bank repo at the courthouse steps, and the other one we actually just bought with a real estate agent. And they were basically, you know, of course, we bought our house in 1977, so it was still a big bite to pay that kind of money, but it was still, you know, a third of what the places were worth. So, and we've owned our house since 1977. So it was paid for, so we were able to take money out of that to buy these properties.
And they're paid for also.
And that's the property in California. The other 2 are long-term rentals. The one, we built a apartment on the back of our house for my mother, and when she left, that's a short-term rental. The ones in
went to heaven.
The ones in North Carolina, we started in, I think, 2017, and we were just back there for a family reunion, and we're taking a tour, and the cab driver or the squad car driver was telling us what the houses were selling for, and it was like, oh, you've got to be kidding! You've got to be kidding! You know, there's people in California literally that spend that much on dinner. So we bought a house then, and seems like every time we've been back there for 3 trips back, we bought houses.
Awesome. So the California homes, what was it like going through that 2009 crash? And when a lot of people were suffering, you guys, you know, bought a couple new homes. So what advice do you have for others, and what was that like for y'all?
Well, we never live extravagantly, and I believe in not wasting anything. I think the biggest problem with people is the waste. And when they'll spend a lot of money on things that aren't essential, and then it comes time to make a house payment, and then they take out another loan on their house, and all of a sudden they're upside down in loans rather than just pay off the house. There's nothing more secure than having your house paid for. And I think that's what everybody ought to shoot for. So our theory is we don't buy houses on paper. And if we can save up enough money with the rents to buy another one, that's how we do it. And as far as getting through that crunch, there were a lot of people that took advantage of that, and they were buying multiple houses. And when houses are going for $700,000 for what you can buy a half a city for in North Carolina, you're never going to get paid off. So I hope that answered your question.
It did, yes. Good advice.
Well, I was just going to say that as a couple, we've always been content where we are, and we are always waiting for the next opportunity. And we just feel that, we're here to bless other people, but also to be blessed too. So, I mean, this has been a real that was a good time for us to take advantage of that. But it's been good for us all.
One quick thing I want to add: any house that we buy, it has to be something that we would move into if we had to. It's nothing
That's
like
we're not
buying, and we fix them up so that they're as nice as they can possibly be before the first people move in.
And those two that we bought in 2009 were in the historic district of Escondido, so they're always filled up.
So Kelly tells me that the Mount Airy property that you have was a long-term rental for 2 years. What kinds of lessons did you learn from that rental? And then how did you decide to make that into a midterm rental?
Well, I've always looked forward to this midterm rental as when we were introduced to the Furnished Finder by a customer. And so when we bought this house in Mount Airy, we thought we had turned it into a midterm rental, but there was a nurse that came on board, and she was a full-time employee, so she wanted the house, and that was fine, but we always had that in mind. And as far as traveling and having a house 3,000 miles away as a full-time rental, I wouldn't do it again. But midterm rentals, it's just like I mentioned to Kelly, that it's nurses are kind with your property. They work hard, God bless them, and they eat, they sleep, and they repeat. And it's just hopefully they get to enjoy the area. But every house that we've bought has been a house that we would live in ourselves.
So in general, what's it like owning property in Mayberry, where Andy Griffith Show is based out of?
Well, when you come from California, and even though we're in a smaller town, is 150,000, and you go to Mount Airy, a town of 10,000, it's a whole different atmosphere. I mean, we go back there a couple of times a year, and already we'll be sitting in the restaurant, and people, a real estate agent knows us, and you walk down the street, and people yell out the car windows and wave, and it's just a whole another world.
Sounds super friendly.
Yeah, there's a church about on every other block, and you can shout in the streets, "I love America." And it's just kind of a throwback town, but they have a lot of festivals. They celebrate everything. So there's bed and breakfast there. So we knew when we were buying these homes that there would be options as far as midterm rentals, full-time rentals, and Airbnb. So it's that's been a big part of it.
Yeah, they have an incredible tourist bureau.
That's good. You need that in each town.
Kelly has let me know that you have a 3-bedroom that's for rent on Furnished Finder, and that you thought it might be harder to rent because it's bigger property, bigger price, but it turned out that it wasn't. So tell us a little bit about that and how you found tenants and what types of tenants are in there right now.
Well, it's really decorated very well. So when people look at it, they really have a desire to be there. I haven't had anybody quibble with the price who's been in there. And it's probably only been vacant for about maybe no more than 2 weeks. And matter of fact, we're having trouble finding time to go back there because we're looking for a space and we have to get back there to just check out things. And we like to go back there. So that's generally our vacations for the year, but we enjoy that.
That's a good problem to have.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Blue Ridge Parkway is really close, and the people that we've had in there, has just been one nurses a lot, mostly. Right now, there's two nurses. One of her girlfriends says, one of the nurses said, I have a friend who's coming to town. Would you rent out the other bedroom to her? So we split the rent and kind of upped it a little bit. So, I mean, they were very happy about that because, and all the hospital are within about half a mile to a mile from the houses. So
excellent.
we've kind of logistically figured that out too. There's a lot of learning going on there, but it was, so far we try to stay in agreement and it's worked.
And we have people coming back to either sending people or actually coming back and saying, oh, I'm glad I can get back in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Just this past week.
That's always nice when you get that follow-up message. I had the sweetest tenants over Christmas. And, we always as hosts, we're like, oh, we want to give nice gift baskets or have, everything ready for them. So when they walk in, they've got the first supply of everything that they might need. And it's just smooth and such a nice experience for them. But on the other side, they don't necessarily have to give you the same experience as a landlord. It's not necessarily that relationship. Well, we had a couple that randomly chose to send us a box of Tiff's Treats cookies. It was amazing. They said, what's your address? And I gave it to them. And then I was thinking, what is this for? And then Tiff's Treats showed up later that night. I was like, that is so sweet.
Kelly is the queen of tenant relations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, we do have 5-star reviews, and we just like to stay in communication with our tenants, and it sounds like you guys probably do the same thing. So what is, throughout a tenant stay in your properties and living, you're across the way. You're not in North Carolina for
as you can go.
Right, for a majority of your midterm rentals. So what is that relationship like for you guys, and how do you make sure that they know that your tenants have that 5-star experience every time?
Well, the gal that lives across the street from the one is pretty much in charge of cleaning it, and she's available all the time. I mean, whenever we need her. My biggest concern is water and electricity. So we have a plumber, and it's taken a while to develop a relationship and heating and air with certain people that I know I can trust, and I can text right now and have somebody there within a day or
it's communication
to get things like that taken care of. I think that's the biggest concern. It would be for me as a tenant, if the heat quits working, what am I going to do?
For
me, because I handle them all personally, from the hello to the deposit, return of the deposit, hopefully. To me, I'm kind of like a hound dog on them when I hear from them on Furnished Finder, and kind of a kitten, when it comes to kind of dealing with them. But I stay in communication, and I let them know that we're interested in giving a great property to them. And I said, if I'm bothering you, let me know. Otherwise, just let me know that you found a place. So it does change that dynamic. So when they do move in, we keep our communication open. Some people I don't hear from until the day they leave, practically. And others, I have one that calls me a lot, but I just think she's just become a good friend and acquaintance.
Aww.
So, I mean, she likes to talk. So
she'll likely be back to stay with you again from that experience as well. Like you've developed that friendship relationship. I like that.
She extended her contract, and that's something interesting too, because she did renegotiate that contract, which took a little bit of convincing with some people, but she was very thankful. And I could just tell immediately that she was just totally grateful for it. Good. She has 2 dogs, and she was paying a good price for it. So, and we charge her extra we charge her more for the deposit and more for cleaning also, because that's got to be, it's got to be done right when they leave, so that other people might be allergic to dogs or whatever.
Now, this is something Kelly and I have talked about before, but I think it resonates with you guys because you are so far away from some of these properties. And your comment about the cleaning made me think about this. But how do you make sure that these properties are ready to go for your next tenant since you're far away? Like, Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but Kelly, you're driving distance for all of your properties, right?
Close.
So I know Kelly doesn't always want to go there for the turnovers, but she can. Our midterm rentals are at minimum 900 miles away from me, but I have family that's close by. So if I ever have any questions, I can be like, hey, Mom, run over there, see how they did. But Kelly and I have had some talks about streamlining this and making sure that like the cleaners send us pictures and a video walkthrough or something. What have you guys done to help streamline that from so far away?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with trusting who's doing the cleaning. We do have a couple of people that clean different places. And I personally think that we're paying them pretty well, knowing what, Mount Airy prices versus California prices. So I don't mind paying somebody a little bit more. The guy that cuts the grass, he told me what he wanted. And I said, well, that's really not fair. I'm going to give you a little bit more than that because here I couldn't get anybody to do it for that. So I think we're pretty fair, and I think our people are fair with us as far as the people that do the maintenance. We've
had videos that people have sent us, but it's true what Jimmie says. It's the people that we have cleaning, and we have two. We trust them. We've got a good relationship with them, and we've come in right after they have cleaned. We try to get to Mount Airy at least twice a year, maybe 3 times a year, depending on what's going on in our lives or what's going on with the property. So I hope that answered your question.
And we, in the intro call, we established Mount Airy. You were first drawn to it because it was where your parents grew up, right? Was it your parents, Patricia?
My parents, yes. My parents both grew up in the area. We went back to a family reunion and just love the community, love the people. And we just fell in love with this particular town. And that's not where they grew up, but it was in the North Carolina area, just one county away. One thing we do, and if I could circle back to the other, I do have a checklist for checkout. I laminate it and I put it on the refrigerator and I say, thank you. Your eyes help keep your home away from home. A great experience. And then, just as far as at the end of the lease, tell them what to do as far as the towels and sheets and unwashed items, put in the laundry bag, turn off lights and fans, leave TV remotes, buy TVs, restock toilet paper, 2 rolls per bathroom, 2 rolls paper towels. Not everybody does it, but it's a thought in their mind. And 2 boxes of tissues and report any problems. So I try to leave that communication right in front of them when they get something to eat so they can remember that when they're checking out, this could be a big part. We don't dock them for not leaving toilet paper or anything like that. But if a bedspread is ruined or if something happens like that, then we have that conversation. But I did want to show you that.
Yeah, it's amazing how little things like that can really streamline the process, and that can save you from sending 10 messages or taking 3 phone calls. And those things add up.
It says it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, Kelly, I made a little welcome book for our properties, and it tells you what to do with the trash, how to get on the Wi-Fi, how to use the automated lock.
I have a welcome book.
Yeah, the welcome kit. And there's things I want to add to them. I kind of ran out of time for ours, but like the best local coffee shop, all that type of stuff. And part of it is also like how to get a hold of me, how to get a hold of the local property manager, and then what to do on the day of move out. So the more information that we can give these tenants, they're very capable and independent people. We just have to give them the tools.
Yes. I got this welcome book template off of canva.com, and there's one called Welcome Book, and it was very helpful. So and it's easy to add your own pictures in. And this has been very helpful, and I leave it there. This one I borrowed from our hospice nurse that's lives next door. So I just wanted to pass that along.
Canva is great. And I started similar to what you guys are saying. And then as I grew to 5 or 6 properties, realizing that anytime I wanted to make a change to that book, I would have to go back in person to make that change. And so I have since transitioned, and I still have welcome notes on the fridge, but I've transitioned to the Furnished Finder house rules, which is on your dashboard. It's under your landlord tools. And it's amazing because if I realize, oh, you know what, my message isn't very clear and the cleaners are coming in saying they don't know what's clean and dirty, I need to clean up that message, then I don't have to physically go to each property to do that. I can just update it with one tab, copy paste on my Furnished Finder house rules. And I realize I constantly make changes, which is nice. And then you take that report that Furnished Finder gives you, it's a PDF, and you can email it to your tenant. And if they wanted a printed copy, how easy would it be to put it in the mail and have it to them within a couple days, right? So it's like, I
learn something from you all the time.
Good. I love the notes on the fridge, but I also like being able to be flexible from far away as well. So I'm going to circle back to one thing Jimmie noted a little earlier, that he was nervous if a heater broke or something big, like your AC goes out or your heater breaks. So this is a good time for that reminder. Don't forget the preseason checks and the annual checks throughout the year, all of you landlords out there, because let's say something big does happen and your heater does break in the middle of really cold weather, and the tenant comes to you and say, hey, this happened. We're out of heat. What's going on? You can confidently say, well, we did go through the right steps. We had the preseason we had the heater checked, as part of the preseason process. I don't know what this could be. Let me go ahead and reach out to our contractor and we'll get in communication with you right away. So that, I just want to give you peace of mind there, Jimmie. If you're able to do all those preseason things and like have an annual checklist of what you want to check at each property, those are great landlords to be able to have that confidence when something does happen.
Well, I guess without having the formality of going through that checklist, we do have the last time, which works out to about once a year, I have a really good guy, Heating and Air. It's a big company, but he spends as much time as it takes. He went through every one of them, said they're all in great shape.
He knows how to work on the nest.
Just because it's in great shape today and you do all that preseason stuff, little things happen. We did for when we were having a problem. So we got some heaters and had them delivered, or had our cleaning gal pick them up and bring them over there. And it's amazing what a decent space heater will do in a room. So with three of them, they were able to heat the whole place until it was fixed. So
we had to do that this year. We had in our Temple house, it went out. It was the first of the cold weather, and it was a weekend. So you're like, okay, who's available? Start calling everybody. And so that's the first thing we do is I think we used one of those delivery systems. We placed an order for them to go pick it up and drop them off at their door. So they had 3 space heaters that they could spread out between the rooms. And then we were able to get someone out on a Saturday to check. He did not come to the right conclusion, but we had it fixed by Monday, and it was as simple. It was a thermostat issue. That was it. But it takes time, and having things like solutions like that turn us into 5-star landlords versus 3-star landlords or 4-star landlds, right? So that's good. Right. That's a good comment, Jimmie.
Any of our tenants will say, though I called them and they were out the next day and got it taken care of. So that things are going to happen. It's just how quick can you get them taken care of? I mean, even in our house, I'd have better chance of getting somebody to take care of the rentals than I do in our house. And then with the Nest, we can see if it's working or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Those little upgrades, the Nest and a smart lock and even a Ring doorbell or something, they can be painful pills to swallow investment wise for the first chunk, but it is nice to have that insight, especially when you're far away.
It really is. The first house we bought had one of the, keypad locks on the front door. So I put them on all of those doors, and the other doors we have lock boxes. But we kind of have fail-safe things with the keys. There's 2 keys in each
That's
lockbox.
good.
Take one of them out. Do not remove the other one.
Mm-hmm.
For the cleaning person or just in case you lose it. And then I have another set of them hidden somewhere else besides the set I have here. And even our real estate agent has a set of keys. So one way or another, and we did have one tenant that locked herself out of her room, and I was able to tell her how to get back in, which saved the locksmith.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah, our property's in Iowa. I have family there. So I was like, you get a set of keys, you get a set of keys, you get a set of keys. Everyone gets a set of keys.
Anybody?
And the other thing is when I get keys made at a quality locksmith, not at a convenience big box store,
Smart.
because they work when you get them done, they'll always stamp them. So each one is stamped with letters that identify them. So you don't have to be playing with the keys. You know exactly which key goes where.
You taught me something today. I did not know that. Is that where,
Yeah.
do they do that at Home Depot?
No.
Okay, we're going to have to change where we have our keys made.
I don't want to throw mud on any of the box stores, but I had a bunch of keys made at one that you just mentioned, and none of them worked. I took them all back, and I went to the locksmith, had a bunch of keys made. Every single one of them worked. There's no hands-on making keys there. They have a machine they stick the blank into. You go to a locksmith, they actually put it in the little machine and play with it until it's right.
And they can stamp it. And like, what does your stamp say? Is it like the address or what is it?
Just well, if it's on, for instance, one of the houses on Pittman, it's got a P on it.
So smart. Thank you, Jimmie. Okay, so mine are all on my key ring, and I go, okay, not this one. Not this one, not this one. And then my husband's system is even worse. He has a Ziploc bag of keys that he pulls them out. He's like, okay, I've got 5 of this key, 5 of this key, 5. And so he doesn't even know what everything belongs to. And his system is, he has to go through them a lot longer than I do. And so then he'll say, okay, I need to go back and organize those keys again. We are going to start going to the locksmith.
If you get them
Jimmie.
stamped, you'd not believe how much easier it is. This time you save looking for a key.
Smart. Thank you.
We're very busy, so we try to monitor what we do so things are easier, right down to having just lists of things so I don't have to go through things to find them. And the key is one of his smart things that he does.
That is smart. Okay, I want to jump to a new topic. This has been a fun conversation, but one of those common things you hear in our, landlord circle of midterm rentals for those that haven't invested yet and are considering midterm rentals is they'll say, you know what? I'm interested in this area of the country, but when I look for details, it doesn't show that anyone's already there on Furnished Finder. There's no data for me to pull from to know if it would be a good place to invest in a midterm rental or not. And I know that y'all were the first to be on Furnished Finder in Mount Airy, North Carolina. So what was that process like for you guys? Not knowing if, having the data to pull from, or maybe you did. What was it like?
Well, I think Patricia actually talked to the people at the hospital there, which for a small town, they've got a pretty good sized hospital.
It didn't seem scary at all because we had so many options with the Airbnbs and the VRBOs, and just because there is a lot of things going on as far as festivals and things. So people just like to come to Mayberry because it's a home of Andy Griffith, but and it's generational. From 5 years old to 80. So that wasn't too much of a concern. We knew we could always rent it out, but midterm rentals was always our goal. But not having it on, not knowing if it was going to fly or not, I just put out the, $100, $99, is it? And
$99. No booking fees.
Say it again. And it was the first person that called. I was able to give that referral to someone else in town. So we've made good friends doing that. And since then, there there's more places in town, but we are very hospitality and service oriented just from our get-go, just always have been. We work together 24/7. So it being that way, it's been easier for us to fill the houses and to be a little more optimistic. And just because it was a sale of the heart, I wouldn't recommend that anybody could do that. But what we buy, but sure they could. So what we bought and what we buy is in a certain area so that we can check on them all at once and have that vacation like I talked about. But we can also
tax write-off for your vacation as well, right?
Absolutely. Finances that we can go other places. So it really has given us options in other areas of our lives. So
now, and really quick, I'll add the one place that we literally bought it on our way to the airport because everything we looked at was just a disaster. And there was a person in one of the rooms. And so our real estate agent asked if we could come in. And so we went into that house when they were literally packing up and leaving. And this was the most spur of the moment conversation. Well, did you enjoy your time here? Oh, I loved it. Would you come back? Oh, in a heartbeat. And we said, well, we're thinking about buying. Oh, I would definitely buy it. It was like he was trying to sell the house for the gal.
He wanted a commission he wasn't even eligible for.
But I think he probably would come back if it was still, on a day-to-day basis. But anyway, It was just very positive.
the one you're talking about was a 5-bedroom Airbnbs, and all the doors were set up, the nest was set up, the lockbox was set up, and it was furnished. It was furnished beautifully. So we didn't even have to worry about that. The first house we bought was not furnished, and I went online and I got, essential items checkout list and went through that. And so that was a real plus for the second house. So everything we either got at the Mayberry Mall, or we bought really good furniture, like a sofa is very important to buy, and an interesting looking chair, and just the features on the wall. Jimmie won't let me put anything on the wall unless it means something. So it's always a challenge and kind of a fun thing to do when we're together on this little trip.
Yeah, I have a motto: you'll either love it or you won't.
And I'm sure everybody loves it.
They do. I've had one gal says, "This is an old house." I said, "Yeah, it's an old house." But that's the way it goes. And everything that we buy is quality, made in America. Mm-hmm. There's nothing, no particle board like we talked about before. So there's nothing that anybody can complain about going into these.
Good. So we have time for one more question each. Why don't you lead with your next question, Katie, and I'll end with our final question.
Okay. Well, I think, we've talked a lot about your investments and how you own them all outright. If you're comfortable sharing, we always love to share success stories. So we'd love to hear how your investments are all doing. Have they paid off? How's your investment journey doing? Because I know as service-minded as we all are, it's a business at the end of the day, right? And we all want to be successful.
I would say that they're all doing well. You have a good year, and then you have that mark that you have to hit. And then if you don't quite hit it, it's like, oh man, it's not as good as it was before. But judging by all other investments, as far as the market and retirement accounts or anything like that, if you buy right, real estate is always going to be a better investment. And by making enough on the properties, it allows us to do whatever we have to maintain them. Again, in Mount Airy, everything is old, and it's not built to the standards on the middle and the west coast of the country. So we had to put piers in the basement of the one, and that was $15,000 right off the bat, just a big bite. But things have to be done, and I like to be able to do them when we need to do them. So, but I would say, in answer to your question, it is definitely a good investment. And if you, again, don't waste anything and live frugally, you can get by without borrowing money.
And then have fun experiences because you've been...
It's a lot more fun when you're not worried about, oh man, I hope we make the mortgage.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a fun one for my last question. And we can all tell, whether you're watching or listening, that these two have a fun dynamic, right? It's like you can tell that they've been working together for a while. And I've got a little pre-knowledge that they've been working together and married for over 40 years. So congratulations on that. And what advice do you have out there for other couples that are in real estate together as well and business? Because y'all have the carpet cleaning business and the interior design business as well that both of you run. So what's it like running business together and advice for others?
Well, we've never had a problem spending time together. I know other people say, oh, if I spent that much time together, we'd kill each other. I don't know where their initial dynamic comes from, because you need to be able to get along. We have similar interests. We have opposing interests. And usually if I want to do something that isn't her particular best time, she'll still do it, and vice versa. So I think it's a little bit of give and take, and always know who the boss is.
I was waiting for that. I think that we have always tried to be in agreement. It's always a little give and take as far as that goes. And it's no fun when you're fighting on a trip out east. It's no fun when you're fighting in the house. So really, we've just come to a place where it's more important to fall into that agreement. There's more success in it. And would that be a good... I can stop there because I could ramble and tell you more, but I'll leave it there.
No, what I'm hearing from you guys, it's important to love and invest in each other's interests, whether they're your interests or not.
Wow.
And
Wish I'd said that.
Well, that's what y'all did say. Essentially, is what I heard for Dave and I. Is, when you're going parallel, it's easy to work together, but then when you have to cross, it gets a little harder sometimes. And when you two cross, you're saying you kind of make sure and have a little give and take. And you also make sure you're invested in the other's point of view and interest. So that's really good feedback. I think
Thank you.
those couples out there will be encouraged by that. Well, if anyone wants to connect with you guys and ask further questions or just have conversations with you, how would you like them to do so? And I do put your Furnished Finder properties in the show notes so they can reach out to you there. But feel free to wrap up with anything you'd like to say to the audience.
We don't have a website anymore, but I guess just through you would be the best way to go. Have no problem. I've helped a lot of people with Furnished Finder, and they have been successful, or they haven't. But just because I think some people are geared more to hospitality and more service oriented, and there were some things about communication. So, what would you like to say?
I couldn't add anything to that. That's
excellent.
Great shirt, though.
Thank you. Yes,
That's right.
We just got
extra
back
large for me.
We'll make sure, and I'll talk to my marketing director and see if we can't make that happen.
Right.
We should. You know what? We should be giving out some podcast swag.
We should.
Ooh,
We
hey,
should
you
for
know what?
guests.
Yeah, be good advertising.
Yeah, it would. We'd wear them all the time.
And a way to
Medium.
say thank you for your 30 minutes or your hour of time that you spend
Sorry.
with us sharing your story. We're so encouraged by all of your stories. Thank you for sharing your story today, Jimmie and Patricia. And tune in with us next week for another episode. Thanks, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.